This was the year that I truly had to face myself. Face myself in the way that I realized I don't show myself enough compassion and grace. Just start. See where it takes you. Because no matter what, it's not a failure. I was gonna learn, I am learning, and that's the greatest gift, right? We all know it's better to try than to never have tried at all and have regret. Hello, welcome to Reignite with Reet. Today I am going to do a solo episode and kind of recap 2025 and share a little bit of what I feel, the intentions I'm setting for 2026. Because by the time this episode airs, it will be New Year's Day, and we have all been anticipating the end of this year, because I don't know about you, but it's been one of those years that has been challenging in so many ways. It has definitely been a snake year. If you do read or know a little bit about the astrology and lunar calendar, and you believe in a little bit of the different universal energies. So what I'm feeling is this 2025 was the snake year. And I truly feel that we all shed collectively and as individuals, because everyone I've spoken to has literally been shedding, been in discomfort. There's change happening, so much uncertainty in the world, in our families, in our own soul journey. So my definite 2025 has pushed me, and recently I even said it was felt like one of the most challenging years I've had to date that I can remember. I've had some challenges in my life, if you've watched some of the other episodes I've shared. This year was the reckoning, it felt like. It wasn't that there was anything huge that was traumatic that was happening actually this year. What was coming up was from the past, and this huge need for letting go of control and surrender. I was having a hard time with that. I realized I didn't really, as much as I share and I'm vulnerable, but the practical side, practicing being still, practicing letting go, practicing feeling my feels, practicing knowing that two things can exist at the same time was a really big theme of understanding this year. That I can feel very grateful for my life. I can truly love my family and also feel triggered by them and feel anger, grief, sadness, and they can both coexist. It was something that I really sat with a lot this year, especially the second half. Being in part with a lot of ladies, a lot of different groups and circles, and talking and sharing and feeling, understanding myself at a deeper level. This was the year that I truly had to face myself. Face myself in the way that I realized I don't show myself enough compassion and grace. I judge myself. My ego is needing to be held in safety, but also my ego needed to be checked and saying, hey, you're not very nice to me. You tend to cause a lot of chaos in my life because I doubt myself, the feelings of unworthiness, which really are not true. I do feel worthy. I do feel like I'm enough. And they just weren't in alignment. There was old programming coming up, old cobwebs that hadn't been worked on, dealt with, and maybe I had just kind of set them aside. So that a lot of that work was done in 2025. There was a lot of taking risks, facing my fears. I launched this podcast 6 months ago, which was incredible because this right here today will be my 30th episode, the season finale of season 2. And I am so grateful that I did that. That was a experience where I had written it down in my goals and my books for multiple years and saying, I want to start a podcast. I want to highlight women. I want to share stories. I want to share resources. I want to inspire other women to go for it. And it really, really, really challenged me this year to face that. And what I learned was sometimes you just have to jump. And I've done that in other parts of my life. I've traveled the world, sold everything multiple times, I have a daughter that challenges me and to, trust and let go of my own resistances. So with this podcast though, it felt like everything in my head was like caving in saying, you don't know how to edit, you don't know how to do all the technology side of it. And with all the realizations and the work I've done and invested in myself, I had to silence that voice and say, I don't have to know it all. I don't have to see the whole picture. All I have to do is take the first step. Press record on my cell phone. I don't have to have all the fancy gadgets and equipment. Just start. See where it takes you. Because no matter what, it's not a failure. I was going to learn. I am learning. And that's the greatest gift, right? We all know it's better to try than to never have tried at all and have regret. So that was the fire, that the reignite in me, that I launched it. And I hired out people that have expertise in different modalities. Like I hired an editor, I hired social media team to help me learn and to also take some of the initial pressure off of me so I can focus solely on my mission, which was to do the work with women and launch it. And I'm so grateful that I did that, because it was also, like I said, the second half of this year really kind of kicked my butt into gear, forced me to do more work on self reflection, because the conversations that were had on the first season and this season were deep. They were rooted in trauma, other women's trauma, and holding that space for women definitely showed where there was some cracks, so to say, in myself, that I could still feel the pain. There were times when it was so heavy after episodes, because sometimes we think we can carry the load by ourselves, and we don't have to. I learned so much about asking for help. I learned how challenging it was for me to receive and accept help. I am a giver. I love sharing my resources, inspiring and giving to others, and being there and being of service to others. But what I learned was I was not in fair exchange. The universe wants us to make sure we can equally give and receive, because that's the masculine and feminine. And I was not sitting in my divine feminine, because when you're in your feminine, you're open to receiving. You are open, heart wide open, all your chakras ready to receive your birthright, your blessings. And I just wasn't there. And the second half of this 2025 year really kind of forced my hand to ask for help, receive it, and then it was uncomfortable to sit in the seat of being the receiver, because the control freak in me and the perfectionist in me wanted to take charge and wanted it faster, wanted it on my timeline. And that is not how it works. When you collaborate, ask for help, and work with others, you have to let go of the reins. And it was uncomfortable. And that's okay. I learned that I don't have to, and I'm not going to be a master at that overnight. It's going to take practice, and I'm going to fall, and it's okay to get back up, ask for help, try something new. And I also became like the queen of pivots this year. I've learned that if something's not working, pivot, figure out a solution, and try something else. And what if the podcast episode didn't record? If the mic didn't work, it's okay. Ask someone if they can record a second time, or be honest about it. And that was the part of the podcast journey, and it's a metaphor for everything else in life. Things are not going to always work out how we want them to on our timeline, yet they work out perfectly, exactly the way they are meant to be on our journey, to teach us the lesson we need to learn, or maybe we need to repeat it a few times. And that was something that I had to repeat a few times. There was a few episodes where in the beginning I had all the help, and then partway through, budget and everything, as you do a podcast, it's not because you're going to be making lots of money initially. It's because you want to be of service, and you're investing in it. And the investment I was making, I decided to take some of the workload for the second season and, record myself, learn to do the camera and the back end work and the mic. And in the beginning, it was really uncomfortable, painful, scary, because I got used to the help. But the universe also wants us not to be codependent on everything for everybody else either. So it's a fine line. Like I was like, what do you want from me? It's a fine balance, and the balance is moment by moment. It's not like, oh, I've got balance now, I'm good. Yeah, but the next moment comes and you lose your balance easily. And there's a new lesson. And what really is important is, how do you bounce back from losing your balance, from an obstacle in your, from getting sideswiped and having to pivot. And this year really challenged me to pivot, because we did season 1, I had lots of help and support. Season 2, I decided to take some of the work on myself, and there were days I wanted to quit, and I didn't think I could get the episodes out on time. I didn't think I could do the social media, yet I showed up for myself. I got some training. I played around, really. I learned and said, okay, I'm going to approach this technology and how to do the reels with this software with more lighthearted. It doesn't have to be perfect, or I don't have to compare myself to an agency. I can do it my way. And once I switched that mindset and I started having fun, wouldn't you know it, it became a little bit easier. I took the pressure off trying to achieve this outcome, and I just enjoyed the process of learning and allowing myself to be a beginner and allowing myself to be a student and learn and not worry about perfection, and know that my mission was to get the message out. How it gets out doesn't have to be perfect. It gets out. And each time it got a little bit easier. Each time I was sometimes pressing buttons that, I'm like, okay, what does this do? Does this do? And I learned that it's okay. There's also a go back button on most softwares. So this was a really, really powerful journey for me. The podcast became more of a coming home, along with serving and inspiring other women to go for it, because that ultimately is my mission, teaching women to invest in themselves, and you will always be the best return on investment. And you don't have to suffer through it, struggle through it. You can ask, you can collaborate with other women, you work, and definitely you can slow down, because burnout is not pretty. It's another thing I learned. I have the mentality, when I press go on a project, I'm all in. And in the first season, I made it my mission that I wanted to have enough content for the podcast, enough episodes that I wanted 20 episodes. So I recorded the first 20 episodes within the 2-month period. And that is a lot for a beginner. And it's not necessarily light topics we were talking about. So after those first 2 months, I found myself burnt out, being like, I don't know, I don't want to record anymore. I don't want to know if I'm doing the right thing. Is this even for me? And that was the resistance. that I had to face myself and say, are you going to give up the moment it gets hard? Or are you going to go for it and still figure it out and pivot and take a pause, take a step back, and just slow down? I really, really was grateful for this lesson because it allowed me to recognize so much what was happening in my body. And this year taught me how powerful mind and body connection is. And when we ignore the messages from our body, it will start to give us feedback on sicknesses, illnesses, different reactions and responses. And I really had to tune in on and where was I feeling the different stresses. Basically, learning about my body for the first time in 46 years. Yes, there's different parts I knew about it. I knew a lot of knowledge, but that doesn't mean you have wisdom of like lived experience, or you're listening to and turning that knowledge into wisdom and using it for bettering and understanding your body and giving it what it needs. My body gave me a lot of feedback on exhaustion, burnout, and allergies this year, and sinus issues, and several, you know, antibiotics later, which is not something I've ever rarely done in my life. So this year definitely challenged me in so many different areas, if not all, like whether it was business, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relationships. I don't sit here like thinking I'm the only one. I have many conversations, and I am grateful that so many women shared their journeys with me, because that made it a little bit lighter to move through, and knowing that I wasn't alone, that there's a season and there's an energy in this 2025 year that we needed to shed, that going forward into the future, into 2026, we cannot be who we have been. We cannot bring with us old patterns, old baggage, ancestral trauma that we didn't want to deal with. And that was a powerful, powerful realization, because I decided I don't want to go into 2026 with my old story. And I don't have to. I am not my trauma. That is something that happened, but I don't have to hold it forever and clutch onto it as my identity. I have many identities. Yes, I'm a mom, I'm a wife. Yes, I'm a business owner, entrepreneur. I am a friend, a sister. Most of all, I'm a human being having a very real experience. And I had to ask myself some really important questions. What kind of experience do I want to create for my future? What kind of experience do I want to bring into the future and call into my life 2026 and beyond? And the themes that kept coming up were, I want to live a softer life. What does that mean for me? For me, I want to speak softly to my daughter, my husband, to myself. I want to speak softly to the ego inside of me that gets angry. I even named her Raging Rhonda, because there were months where I was so angry that I didn't know why necessarily in the moment. I just felt like it was so consuming, the anger I felt towards people. And it was not all of it was mine. I also felt that, my mothers and ancestors, but I'm the one who had to live with it in my body. And I realized all I needed to do was be a witness to it. I didn't have to outrun it. I didn't have to try to fix it. I didn't have to try to do more, is what I was programmed to do. Do more with the podcast, do faster, do more with my daughter's life and my husband, and do more with business faster. And a beautiful gift some of the chaos this year gave me was pause and be a witness. Observe my thoughts. I am not my thoughts. I can let them go and I can even cancel them in the moment as they come. I've learned I can say cancel. If it's not of service to me, why do I want to feed that thought? If we can cancel a subscription, a membership, why can we not cancel a thought that's coming in just a moment? And I witnessed it, and I also realized this is not of service to me, and this can easily become a seed that's planted that's going to grow. And I also chose to pull it out and cancel it. Many times that this helped me. A mentor helped me with that. And I am a firm believer in having mentors and coaches at different stages in our life, whether it be your business coach, you want to grow your business, whether it's your fitness and health, you hire a health coach to help you get to not necessarily an outcome. That will be the natural result of you investing the time and energy of love and caring and the gift that you give yourself of learning about yourself. What is it that you need? I am not the same person I was 5 years ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago. So my needs have changed. And what I'm calling in is different than what I have called in the past. And what I'm leaving behind this year in 2025 is I'm leaving my old stories back that are not even mine. And some that are mine, I'm also not saying I disown them. I understand they were of service to me. They gifted me an opportunity to see gratitude on how everything that happened for me brought me to this moment. Even the hardest of traumas, it's not that they were easy or it's okay or that I'm 100% healed. I know in this moment I feel healed. I know as I move forward, there will be different layers, and I will approach those with curiosity. I will approach those as a witness, and I will address them as I move forward. I do not have to save myself and fix me 24/7. That exhausted me. That mindset of this positive, toxic belief that I was so broken that I constantly have to fix myself. That is no longer something I'm bringing into 2026. I am bringing that I am a whole human. I am already whole. I'm moving forward into 2026, a whole being, not with the belief that I'm broken, I'm unworthy, I'm not enough. I'm moving with the belief into 2026 that I'm not afraid to be visible and take up space. There's enough for me and everybody else, the 8.5 billion people in the world. And I get to take up my space. I'm not in competition. I don't wish to be engaging in that. I am going to stand in my own energy and power and do what I came here to do. And that is not to play small. That is not to sit and be like anybody else but myself. And myself loves to live in color, loves to be bold and vibrant, and also at the same time, my heart and my voice also loves to be soft, loving, and loud, and humorous, and silly, and full of shenanigans. All of that can exist at the same time that I am not bypassing that different layers of grief come at different times. So I'm not going to say, oh, I'm never going to have other challenges. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is how I choose to move forward in my life and approach the challenges that do come, accept them with grace and compassion. Something I really struggled with. I could show other people grace and compassion, but a really hard time showing myself and my daughter and my husband. It's sometimes the ones that are closest to you that you also make suffer. I don't believe that I do it or did it intentionally. I needed somebody to hold that space for me. and they have been the safe space. However, they're not my punching bags, or I don't need to dump on them. I have the capacity and the tools to deal with this. And they love me. And of course we have made amends, we have apologized and loved each other, and that's the family unit. Sometimes it does look a bit messy and gritty, but that doesn't have to be our story forever. We also get to move past that phase and move and accept happiness and joy and love. And that is all a choice. Happiness is a choice. Every single moment is a choice. When I wake up in the morning, I get to choose how I'm going to approach this day. Is it going to be with happiness, or I'm going to hold this anger in my heart that was same thing from something that happened yesterday or a year ago or 20 years ago? Something I really am practicing every day is releasing when thoughts and feelings and energy comes that feels restrictive and tight, and staying curious about it, and also choosing to soften it, with different modalities, somatic work, body work. My body has needed a lot of love this year, and it's something I'm really finally slowing down to respond to. That I don't need to go fast and hard and prove and outdo myself, outdo what I've done in the past. I'm not that woman anymore. I'm not that person anymore. So trying to outdo something that I did in the past is just going to be spinning myself in circles and repeating patterns. These are really important lessons I learned in 2025, that I don't have to keep proving my worth, keep proving that I can do more, I can outdo, outperform, be louder, or I am exactly, beautifully, perfectly imperfect right now. And I will figure it out as I go. And beautiful part of it is I don't have to do it alone. There's a village I have built, and I've been very mindful in 2025 of releasing the people that I felt attached and codependent on, that were no longer service to each other. I don't have to put myself in situations that don't feel good for my mind and my body. And I've become aware of that. And I don't have to invest my time and energy into giving, 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 and there's no reciprocated. And don't get me wrong, I don't give to just for an outcome, to like have expectations to receive. However, there has to be a fair exchange of give and take. And when I say take loosely, but sometimes it is your turn to receive and you need somebody to call. And it's okay to call for help. But when that other side, the relationship is consistently not there, it's okay to say, I love you and I release you. Because the other person is not capable. So there's no point in getting angry. There's no point in creating more resistance and like a charge inside yourself and creating anger. And I've realized, just meet people where they're at. It's been a big theme this year. Love them. And sometimes it's not even about forgiveness, it's just about a witness, being a witness and observing, saying, this person is not capable of being where I am at right now. And nobody can be exactly where I'm at. There's people on their own journey, and we can come into each other's lives, and sometimes it's for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And in this season, I feel really strongly about I know the people that are going into future with me, and I also know the ones that I'm letting go of with love, because they're on their own journey. It's not my responsibility to fix them or keep myself stuck or frozen or stay back so that they can catch up. There is no catching up. We're all on our own journey, and that is okay. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to do this podcast, because it was a gift this year to show me my resilience and gave me the gifts of asking for help, for also believing in myself that I can figure it out. I don't have to see the whole picture or have certainty on how it's going to turn out. Quite contrary, I have no idea how things are going to turn out in the future, how many episodes, how many seasons this will go, how many pivots I will make on change and rebrand. And I get to give myself permission to do that, just like you do. You get to give yourself permission to change your mind, to pivot, to try something new. And all of that I'm bringing into 2026, that energy of curiosity, being a lifetime learner, honing in on skills that maybe that I need sharpening. And that's what I exactly plan to do. And as a major pivot happening in our life, currently all of my listeners know I currently live on Oahu in Hawaii with my family. And this year, again, another challenge and decision had to be made. We have a place just outside of Vancouver, BC in Canada, and the universe is calling for us to move. And I felt it and I listened. And part of us wanted to stay here in Hawaii. However, there's a big part that said, let go and trust. So we will be moving in 2026 to British Columbia, Canada, just outside of Vancouver, which is one of our other favorite places to live. We lived there before. And a huge pivot is we are selling and we've gotten rid of 95% of all of our belongings, and we're going and we're downsizing. And for a little while there, I judged myself because we're moving into a condo that we had built, and it's ready. It's ready for us to move. And it was something supposed to be, maybe potentially when we bought it, was where like maybe it's going to be investment, but the investment is in us. I choose to see that the investment that I made back in 2022 when we purchased it is the investment we chose to make in ourselves, to focus on our family. And there was a bit of judging from an internal critic saying, wow, you're giving up this life in Hawaii to move to the cold and downsize to a small condo. And then I said, small, it's plenty room for our family of 3 and 4 now with our new puppy. And it has everything we need. We are a family that loves to create and live in experiences rather than be attached to material goods. It is teaching a lesson as we had to go one by one, every item in this house be sold or donated and given away to create the new life, because there just isn't space for the life that I'm stepping into, for the life where I'm going in the future. There's no space to bring the things from the past. It is literally and metaphorically a full reset of our life. And I couldn't be more excited and nervous and like, oh my goodness, we're going back to the cold, and excited like a kid. And knowing that in my heart, it feels right now. That I don't have to know where I will be in a year, in 2 years, 3 years. However, I can plan for it. I can set some goals. I can set some intentions, plant some seeds, and dream big. And just live in the joy that my family's safe. We have privilege to have a home that we get to move into, and choose that. Who says downsizing isn't the biggest expansion of a lifetime? Recently speaking to a mentor, and she said, how are you choosing to look at this? Because I said, I feel like I'm being a hard reset, hard rewire on my life. And she said, isn't that just showing you that the universe has something huge in store for you, to create that kind of space in your life that you can hold that next big dream or that next experience that you are meant to have? Because you can't really hold space for something amazing and greatness in your life if you're stuck to holding on to old things and material things and old stories. And when I thought about it, I'm like, wow, yes, this is exactly what my family, but I need. Where I'm headed in 2026 and beyond, I am going to be making impact on a larger scale, on larger stages, being a speaker in bigger rooms. I am going to be stepping into a version of myself. I already am that woman. And I'm ready to step into that powerful woman who loves herself, believes in herself, and knows she's capable of doing anything she puts her mind and heart to. And with love and wanting to be of service in this world. And I know my purpose is I have a huge mission to serve women, to stand and inspire on stages and speak, share the journey that I've been given and the privilege that I have and the voice, and not play small, not dim down or shrink, but really step in. So I am so looking forward to this next chapter and bringing you along and not worrying about scrolling on social media and not getting caught up in that hype, and more about sharing content that I want to create on my terms, not for the algorithms, not because somebody told me this is going to perform in the trends necessarily. In this 46-year-old moving into this era of my life where I'm owning the gray hairs in my hair, owning the color of my skin, owning my beautiful body in this season, and knowing that it's constantly ever evolving and changing. And what a privilege I have to have a platform that I can share it on. And stepping into that responsibility and taking accountability that it's up to me if I don't choose to use that platform and share my voice and inspire women. So I really am looking forward to 2026. It is going to be an extraordinary year. It is going to come with everything. That is life. That is one thing I have been guaranteed experienced. Every single year has its own challenges. Every single year has its own opportunities and gifts and lessons and beauty. It's if you choose to see it that way. I have been stuck in the past where everything felt heavy and I chose to only. That was my journey then. I no longer want to see that in my life. I see this big move happening, traveling across the country, across the Pacific Ocean back, across the coast back to Vancouver, as a beautiful experience for my family and I to integrate the last almost 3 years of living on Oahu and talking about our journey and sharing and stepping into a new season, creating new relationships that are intentional and mindful, and also nurturing the ones that are already in our life and letting go of the pressure to perform for people's expectations, because that is no longer, that I'm leaving back in 2025. It is none of my business what other people's expectations are of me. It is only my business, and to love me fully and unconditionally and go out there and inspire women to go after their dreams and keep continuing to grow my styling business, keep growing this podcast and the platforms that I speak on, and getting on stages and inspiring women that I know for sure. And being the mom that I know I am, with big heart, and stepping into my softness era, stepping into my wholeness, because that's what I'm here for. So if I can inspire one woman out there, take the first step on your dreams. Don't wait for the whole picture to appear, for the whole roadmap to have it all laid out, because you're going to keep waiting. You're going to keep waiting to take that first step. And before you know it, 6 months and a year or 5 years will pass and you didn't move on your dreams. That's what 2025 taught me. Take that first step. Take it scared. Take it with tears. Take it with anxiety. Take it. People will show up in your life to help you along. And if you're, ask for help too. We have to get better as women asking for help. We don't have to do it alone. Create the village around you. Surround yourself with the women that lift you up. Get in rooms that inspire you. Get in rooms with women that are 10 steps ahead of you, 5 steps ahead of you, because they're not your competition. They're your cheerleaders and they want you there. They're cheering for you and they're your inspiration and they will be your mentors, and they've laid out a path that you can learn from. And that's what I've learned. And they don't have it necessarily easy either. So the bigger you go, the more success you have. Understand it's going to come with bigger responsibility, bigger accountability, bigger stages, and bigger gifts and lessons that are going to fulfill your life. I hope that these last 2 seasons have brought joy, maybe shared some gifts of wisdom and some of our heartwarming stories, some pain, some grief, some resources for you as you listen to this and start this year of 2026 and you leave 2025 behind. I hope you take a moment to scroll in your camera and look at all that you accomplished, all you experienced in 2025, because it wasn't all bad. I guarantee you that. And I sat here yesterday with my Mindful Rebel group and we looked at all of our pictures. And I only got halfway through and I'm going to do the rest. I was like, wow, there was a lot of memories created, a lot of experiences in nature with my family. There were tears, there was grief, there was change, there was resistance. And that's all what we're here to grow. And that I hope that Reignite with Reet inspires you to reignite what era you're ready to step into in 2026. Gets you to dream really big, gets you to take one step at a time, one moment, one day at a time, and go for it. Remember, your dreams are not lost. You are still alive and you have choices. I love you so much and thank you for supporting Reignite with Reet and this vision that I had and this dream, bringing it to life and all the opportunities and gifts and lessons that it has given me. And all of the people that have been involved in creating it, and bringing season 2 to life, 1 and 2, and teaching me along the way, holding space and loving me and appreciating, accepting me, and even all of the people out there that challenged me. Thank you. I appreciate you, and I'm wishing you an amazing, incredible 2026. And Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Wishing nothing but joy and peace to all.